The Democrats are The Democrats are You know, I bet Pam Bondi isn't even a real blonde. That's what I'm thinking. You just can't trust her anymore. I don't even think that's her natural hair color. What's up? This is Mark Kaye Saves the Republic, and man, we got some craziness going on today. Hold on, let me turn on the lights so I can see what's going on here. I know if you're listening to the podcast, the lights don't make a bit of difference to you, but if you're not listening to the podcast, if you're watching online, we want to make sure that we set the mood, and we want to make sure that we have the appropriate lighting everywhere. And man, I'll get it. First of all, it is so good to be back in the studio. I had a great time broadcasting live from Patriot Outpost Mike Bravo. It was beautiful. It was so much fun. The drinks were great, but it's always nice to get home. It's always nice to get back to Mar-a-Lago and broadcast from Patriot HQ. And I am just so excited once again to be back here at the homestead in illustrious downtown Jacksonville at Patriot HQ, where we have so much to do. I mean, there's so much work to do. Every time you think we're this close to getting somewhere, it's like one step forward and three steps back. We had the big, beautiful bill signing the other day, which was amazing. It was so much fun on July 4th. And then yesterday, late at night, someone decided to bury a very substantial report about the Epstein files in like a late Sunday night edition of a DOJ FBI memo that was released by Kash Patel and Pam Bondi. And, you know, Kash Patel, I guess because he's smart, he didn't make a lot of public statements about what was going on with the Epstein files. He and Dan Bongino were seen on television saying that Epstein killed himself and that it was suicide. And Dan Bongino famously said he saw the file and Epstein killed himself. But Pam Bondi, she's really the one who's been saying a lot of things. I mean, she's been saying a lot of things. She was the one, if you remember, who said this.
List of Jeffrey Epstein's clients? Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed because that was done at the directive of the president from all of these agencies.
So have you seen anything that you said, oh my gosh?
Not yet.
Not yet. I've seen a couple things that make me go, oh my gosh, wait a minute, where's my camera? There it is. I've seen a couple things, and it's Pam Bondi. Anytime I see Pam Bondi on the news, I go, oh my gosh. Is she telling the truth or not? Pam Bondi saying, oh, the Epstein files, they're on my desk. Where have I heard that one before? Checks in the mail. That's so funny. I was just going to call you. It's so weird you called me. I was just about to call you and do the very thing you were demanding I do. Pam Bondi also said this. You remember about all the videos?
Of video. tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child porn. And there are hundreds of victims. And no one victim will ever get released. It's just the volume, and that's what they're going through right now. The FBI is diligently...
Yeah, the FBI is, look at all these. There's thousands of videos. Why does my camera keep disappearing? There's thousands of videos out there. Thousands of videos out there, and they are of Jeffrey Epstein and children. And I got to tell you, it is just, I don't even know what's happening. It is just crazy. All of the things that's going on right now with Jeffrey Epstein and the children. And I've got all these videos, and I'm just not going to show them to anybody because that's basically, here's Pam Bondi again. Listen to what she said. Listen to what she said this time.
Epstein files on your desk is, when can we see them, and what's taking so long to release them?
I do. Jesse, there are well over, this will make you sick, 200 victims. 200. So we have over 250 actually. So we have to make sure that their identity is protected and their personal information. But other than that, I think tomorrow, the personal information of victims. Other than that, I think tomorrow, Jesse, breaking news right now, you're going to see some Epstein information being released by my office.
What kind? Are we going to see who was on the flights? Are we going to see any evidence from what he recorded? Because he had all of his homes wired with recording devices.
Yeah, what you're going to see, hopefully tomorrow, is a lot of flight logs, a lot of names, a lot of information, but it's pretty sick what that man did.
Okay, well, we'll
along with his
that.
co-defendant.
Absolutely. And
yeah, absolutely. It's pretty sick. I don't know where my camera keeps going. It's pretty sick what that man did. Where is my? Hold on. I don't know. It's pretty sick what that man did. What that man did was just horrible. What he did. We've got 200 victims. No, scratch that. Make that 250 victims. There's so many victims. I can't even believe it, but we've got all these victims, and I got to tell you, it's just disgusting. And now Pam Bondi is saying, you know what? Looks like maybe we don't have any victims because we don't have any evidence that could put Jeffrey Epstein away for good. And we know that because they released this statement just last night as part of this. Look, U.S. Department of Justice, Federal Bureau of Investigation, both the seals are there. As part of our commitment to transparency, the Department of Justice and the Federal Bureau of Investigation have conducted an exhaustive review of investigative holdings relating to Jeffrey Epstein. To ensure that the review was thorough, the FBI conducted digital searches of its databases, hard drives, and network drives, as well as physical searches of squad areas, locked cabinets, desks, closets, and other areas where responsive material may have been stored. These searches uncovered a significant amount of material, including more than 300 gigabytes of data and physical evidence. The files relating to Epstein include a large volume of images of Epstein, images and videos of victims who are either minors or appear to be minors, and over 10,000 downloaded videos and images of illegal child sex abuse material and other pornography. Teams of agents, analysts, attorneys, and private and civil liberty experts combed through the digital and documentary evidence with the aim of providing as much information as possible to the public while simultaneously protecting victims. Much of the material is subject to court-ordered sealing. Only a fraction of this material would have been aired publicly had Epstein gone to trial, as the sealed yada, 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 yada. Here's the real gist. The last sentence here. The systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. There was also no credible evidence found that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals as part of his actions. We did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. So, what does that mean? It means that FBI agents and the Department of Justice, Kash Patel and Pam Bondi, are releasing a joint statement saying there was no Epstein client list, which is weird. Because we thought Pam Bondi was going through all these files. They were sitting on her desk. There were all these videos, but now there's nothing. We've also found that there's been no evidence that Jeffrey Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals as part of his actions. We did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. Now, this is all troubling for various reasons, because for many of us, we thought for sure that when President Donald Trump was sworn in, and that we got Kash Patel at the FBI, and well, Matt Gaetz was the original pick, which I still believe Matt Gaetz would have been preferable to Pam Bondi, but that was the beginning of what we thought would be the end of the Epstein verdict. We thought for sure we would start to see evidence come out of what this guy did, and more importantly, who he did these things with. That's the real key. It's horrible what happened to the victims. It's horrible what happened to these children. But to really bring justice, you need to make sure that the powerful, elite people who are on this list, who flew to the island, who took advantage, all of those folks, you have to make sure that they were brought to justice, that they were going to go to court, they were going to go to trial, and that the evidence was going to be made clear. Now, after how many years? The Jeffrey Epstein client list, we're now told, does not exist. They know who was there. They know who was on the plane. They know the flight logs. They've got information. They've got photos, but no actual list. Why is Ghislaine Maxwell in prison for 40 years? Why is Ghislaine Maxwell in prison for 40 years if there's no evidence of wrongdoing, if there's no evidence of blackmail, if there's no evidence of any of these other things that have been going on that could be publicly released, even in trial? It doesn't make any sense. Clearly, somebody or something is being protected. And people would jump to the conclusion, of course, that it's Donald Trump. But the fact of the matter is, Donald Trump, if Donald Trump were on the Epstein client list, and I believe this to be true, that would have come out during any of the multitude of opportunities that they had to release that information when they were in power. Joe Biden and the Democrats, let's just recap. Joe Biden and the Democrats searched Mar-a-Lago looking for top secret documents, rifled through Melania's underwear drawer, charged President Donald Trump 91 times with 91 different felony counts, arrested him in Georgia, fingerprinted him in Georgia, took his mugshot in Georgia, which became one of the top fundraising photos of all time. And in the process, also tried to have him killed twice. So when you look at all that, clearly they would have had no qualms releasing the Epstein client list, no qualms releasing this kind of information to the public if they thought it would ruin Donald Trump's chances at getting elected for a second term. If they thought somehow this would be the end of President Donald Trump, but for good, they would have 100% released that client list, but they didn't. Now President Donald Trump is in office and we're finding out that there is no client list. Okay, how can that be? Is it that there's somebody on the client list or somebody that they found evidence of being blackmailed by Jeffrey Epstein that is in Trump's inner circle, or is a prominent Republican figure, or is somebody important to the United States of America or important to Donald Trump's goal of saving the United States of America over the next 4 years? Maybe, potentially. I've racked my brain. I can't really think of who it might be. It could be that Donald Trump and the DOJ and the FBI are doing some kind of elite sting operation where they're throwing out there this fake false flag that everything's fine and there's no client list. Like when you say, we don't have any evidence, and then all of a sudden the guilty parties somehow come forward on their own, or they let slip, or they turn themselves in. That kind of idiotic thing could be that. I don't know if that's the case. But it's really kind of troubling and interesting that this would come out this way, and that it would come out this way on a Sunday night, and that Pam Bondi would look so. Again, here's Pam Bondi getting sworn in earlier this year.
I, Pamela Bondi, do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
That I take this obligation freely.
That I take this obligation freely.
Without any mental reservation.
Without any mental reservation.
Or purpose of evasion.
Or purpose of evasion.
And that I will well and faithfully.
And that I will well and faithfully.
Discharge the duties of the office on which I'm about to enter.
Discharge the duties of the office on which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
All right, so there she is. She's taking the oath of office, and at that point, it seems like everything's copacetic, everything's on the up and up. But really, now we're starting to see Pam Bondi either covering up for somebody, or being forced to cover up with somebody, or being forced to be the scapegoat. Who knows what's going on? I mean, I've seen all kinds of theories this morning. I've seen theories that the Epstein list was destroyed years ago, which makes the most sense. But then why lie about it? I've seen theories that the Epstein evidence was destroyed by the Democrats before they left office, which makes perfect sense. That why wouldn't Christopher Wray, or why wouldn't even, James Comey or any of these other Democrat elite loyalists destroy any and all evidence of client lists or any kind of illegal activity by Jeffrey Epstein? Why wouldn't they do that before they leave office? They knew they wouldn't have the opportunity to do it afterward. That kind of makes sense. But then why lie about it? Why string the public along? Why not come out and say, here's what happened? The evidence was destroyed. That's not what they said. That's not what she said either. If you look again, if you read this again, it says we went through all of the evidence. We did a conclusive and exhaustive review. We searched the databases, the hard drives, the network drives, and physical searches of squad areas. And we have found nothing, no incriminating client list, no credible evidence that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals as part of his actions. We did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. So if that's the case, why go on and on and on as if there were some kind of evidence of Jeffrey Epstein? Do you remember the binders? I'm going to try. I don't know if you remember these binders. It was just weeks into President Donald Trump's administration. And there were binders handed out to all kinds of social media influencers. I think, here we go. DC Drano got one. It looks like Scott Pressler's in the back smiling with his binder. This is, what's her name? Liz. What's her name? You know her name. Liz. She's got a good show. Anyway, all these people, they're all there. They've all got their binders. The binders say the Epstein files. Jack Posobiec got another one. And what we found out later, Liz Wheeler, thank you. What we found out later was that these binders didn't have any new information. These binders were just, the same old stuff that we'd already seen. There was some information posted online. But basically what happened was these binders turned out to be some kind of just false flag operation. They gave out the binders. Everyone got really excited. Then we found out that the binders that were filled with information that we already had. And these people, again, I don't know, Liz Wheeler and DC Drano and Jack Posobiec and everyone else, it seems to me like they were being used by the administration to, I guess, spread false hope. We quickly realized that the information in those binders was false. And in fact, the White House the White House issued a statement to that effect. But again, if you sit and think about it, it's really bizarre how this story has continued to unfold, and why now they're coming out with this. Why now they're coming out with this report or this statement that there's nothing to the Jeffrey Epstein case. There's nothing that we thought we were going to get, and that all those files sitting on her desk and all those videos that they went through didn't prove a gosh darn thing. It does almost seem like they're covering up. Now, you may remember that Elon Musk said that Donald Trump was in the Epstein files when he was throwing his first temper tantrum against President Donald Trump. He's been throwing a lot of temper tantrums lately, but you may remember this nugget that he posted on X. Time to drop the really big bomb. Real Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That is the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day, DJT. That was Elon Musk a few weeks ago when he was first really, really angry at President Donald Trump. Today, he was at it again. He wrote, he posted a clown meme, which is right here. We will release the Epstein list. We just need more time. The Epstein list is on my desk. There is no Epstein list. That's kind of the Pam Bondi narrative timeline from when she took office to, well, today. We will release the Epstein list. We just need more time. The Epstein list is on my desk. There is no Epstein list whatsoever. And that's kind of how a lot of MAGA faithful and a lot of people on the internet are feeling today. That it's, on the brink of, and it's really weird timing too. Think about what we got on Friday. We got the one big beautiful bill passed. We got Donald Trump's entire agenda pushed forward. We got Donald Trump with massive amounts of money for the border, massive amounts of money for the Golden Dome, massive amounts of money for the law enforcement, massive amounts of money for the military, massive amounts of money to put forward his economic plan so that we can have economic stability. And he got it done with pretty much all the senators he needed, with the exception of a couple of holdouts, and all the Republicans in Congress he needed, again, with the exception of a couple of holdouts. And maybe the fact that this went through so quickly, maybe the fact that this went through so smoothly, maybe, just maybe, this is part of the deal. Because if you think about how quickly this happened. The One Big Beautiful Bill was signed on Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. On Saturday, we all just, were recuperating from July 4th. And then on Sunday, just 48 hours later, they released this memo saying that the Epstein files do not exist. There's no list. There's no evidence. He acted alone. He died in prison of his own hand. All these things that we've been questioning forever. It seems like maybe the One Big Beautiful Bill vote was the delivery of a potential deal, maybe. And then these DOJ notices saying we're done with this, their case closed, is maybe delivering on that deal. So if it's not Donald Trump who's on the Epstein client list, which again, I wholeheartedly believe he's not, it would have come out long before this. They would have redacted everything except for the name Donald Trump. They would have published photos and videos and everything they had. They had photos and videos of Donald Trump at Jeffrey Epstein's party or vice versa. And they were trying to make you think that that was somehow salacious evidence that showed Donald Trump was a terrible, horrible, no good pedophile when Donald Trump threw him out of his club. I mean, there were so many pieces of evidence to the contrary, but maybe not everybody else involved in what happened on Friday. I mean, think about all the senators that maybe would have voted against the One Big Beautiful Bill just to spite Trump. Somebody like, I don't know, who hates Donald Trump? Mitch McConnell? That dude hates Donald Trump with a passion. Mitch McConnell hates Donald Trump with a passion. Mitch McConnell is really old. He's been around Washington, D.C. for a very long time. Maybe, just maybe, he struck some kind of deal and said, I won't fight you on the One Big Beautiful Bill on my way out the door, but you've got to do something for me. Make sure that this client list never comes out. Maybe it was somebody else who was a no. There's 53 senators. We know it wasn't what's her name? Susan Collins. And we know it wasn't Rand Paul. And we know it wasn't Tom Tillis. Well, that leaves 50 more who potentially could have some hand in getting this thing squashed. Again, I don't know. I'm just speculating. The timing is very, very interesting. We'll deliver you the One Big Beautiful Bill in the Senate. We'll deliver it in the House. And then within 48 hours, you'll bury the Epstein story, but for good. That's exactly what seems to have happened. And like I said, it's got a lot of people questioning what's going on. A lot of people are questioning Elon Musk. Nobody I think believes Elon Musk or sides with Elon Musk. Everyone thinks kind of that Elon Musk is a little cuckoo, and Elon Musk has been going a little cuckoo. He's decided he's going to start a third party, the America Party. And this is bad news. This is bad news for everybody. The America Party, which he started an X account for, has 291. I believe this is the official. I believe this is the official one. Let's see. I'm just trying to make sure. This could be, hold on. Let me go back to, Elon Musk, because I know he has a lot of stuff on his account. So Elon Musk has decided to create an America Party, a party that is not Democrat, that is not Republican, that he believes stands for exactly what Americans want. He's all about H1N1 visas. He's all about Thomas Massey. He's all about all these other things. And so the America Party is his solution, a third party, which we know if the third party is not Republican or not Democrat and is founded by Elon Musk, who has just supported President Donald Trump, then what we're going to find is that you have basically Elon Musk creating a third party that's going to hurt the Republicans. And I believe that is his only goal in creating this third party. That is the only thing he wants, is to bring harm to President Donald Trump, who he feels has wronged him. And maybe he feels President Donald Trump has wronged him because of the EV mandate. I don't know. Maybe he feels President Donald Trump has wronged him because of, the DOJ cuts that didn't happen. I don't know. Maybe he feels Donald Trump has wronged him because he didn't make his best friend the head of NASA, which Donald Trump spoke to in a Truth Social post, which I'll share with you in a moment. Maybe he feels Donald Trump has wronged him because he let Scott Bessent punch him in the face and give him a black eye, which, by the way, now that seems to be more and more the consensus as to what happened. Elon Musk shows up. First of all, there's a story that Scott Bessent and Elon Musk hate each other. There's a story that Scott Bessent and Elon Musk get into an actual altercation, a physical altercation in the White House. Elon Musk shows up in the Oval Office with a black eye, claims that little X kicked him in the face, and now all of a sudden we maybe have a different narrative we're following. But Scott Bessent was asked about Elon Musk's third party, and here's what he said.
I let you go. It's not a big secret that you had your differences with Elon Musk when he was working in the administration. He announced this weekend that he is starting a new political party. Does that worry the Trump administration?
Look, the principles of DOJ were very popular. I think if you looked at the polling, Elon was not. So I believe that the boards of directors at his various companies wanted him to come back and run those companies, which he is better at than anyone. So I imagine that those board of directors did not like this announcement yesterday and will be encouraging him to focus on his business activities, not his political activities.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, that's Scott Bessent taking a dig. He's saying, look, DOJ was popular, but Elon Musk was not popular. DOJ was really great. People wanted to cut out waste, fraud, and abuse in the government, but they didn't like Elon Musk running around with a chainsaw and, his kid on his shoulders and taking him into meetings. They didn't like Elon Musk's style. They liked his substance, but they didn't like his style. DOJ was popular. Elon was not. And he has all these companies, and these companies have stock prices, and the stock prices have been declining, and the boards of directors have been warning him that he's got to come back to work and make sure that his stock price does not decline. And maybe, just maybe, instead of running off and starting a third political party, maybe, just maybe, Elon Musk should go back to work and make sure that Tesla and the Boring Company and SpaceX and all these other companies that he's built up to become the richest man in the entire world, maybe he should do something to protect all of them, because they are in danger now of going down, not just because Elon Musk is dividing his attention, but because President Donald Trump is becoming one of his enemies by his own hand. Elon Musk, by his own doing, is almost forcing President Donald Trump to take action against him, and President Donald Trump has. President Donald Trump released this statement: "I am saddened to watch Elon Musk go completely off the rails," essentially becoming a train wreck over the past 5 weeks. He even wants to start a third political party, despite the fact that they have never succeeded in the United States. The system seems not designed for them. The one thing third parties are good for is the creation of complete and total disruption and chaos. And we have had enough of that with the radical left Democrats, who have lost their confidence and their minds. So Elon Musk is getting kind of pimp slapped online by President Donald Trump. Donald Trump is saying, look, we know that the Republicans can get things done when they're unified, and they haven't been unified in a very long time. But guess who got him unified? President Donald Trump got him unified behind the one big beautiful bill. And third parties are chaotic, and they don't do anything but weaken the other two. And that seems to be Elon Musk's ideal. But when we have such a razor-thin majority in the Senate, and a razor-thin majority in the House of Representatives, it's almost irresponsible for somebody with such political clout and, of course, deep pockets should go out and lash out at President Trump just because he didn't get what he wanted, which, I'm going to be honest with you, I think that's really what this all boils down to. Elon Musk had great ideas. He had great vision. He had great desires. He wanted to doge the government. He wanted to take a chainsaw to the government. He went in there. He shut down entire agencies. He sent emails telling everybody, give me 5 things you did last week. If you want to self deport yourself out of the government, or if you want to sacrifice yourself, we'll pay you out for the next 8 months. All these great ideas to lower the size and scope of the government and to do it very quickly. And he found a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse in a lot of different places. But at the end of the day, Elon Musk forgot that he wasn't the president, that he worked at the pleasure of the president, and that President Donald Trump had the final say. And we may not always like what he says, but he has the final say. And I think that's where Elon Musk started to go wrong. And I think that Scott Bessent is right. Elon Musk is not as popular as Elon Musk's Doge. Elon Musk is not as popular as Elon Musk's ideas. And Elon Musk is nowhere near as popular as President Donald Trump. And we know that because Harry Enton at CNN ran a poll.
Yeah, this entire thing makes very little sense to me. It makes about as much sense as selling sand in the desert. What are we talking about here? What is the size of Elon Musk's base? Well, I calculate it to be about 4%, just 4%, 1, 2, 3, 4% of all voters. What is that base made up of? Well, it's those who view Elon Musk favorably and the GOP unfavorably. We're talking just about 4% of all voters out there, because it turns out most of the people who like Elon Musk already like the GOP already. That is, they already have a party for him. In my mind, there is just no base for Elon Musk's third party in the electorate, at least initially speaking.
All right. When we talk about third parties at the presidential level, the candidate who most recently had the most success in terms of getting the most votes was Ross Perot.
Okay, before we get to Ross Perot, let's get back to Elon Musk. So Harry Enton saying, look, I took a look at it. I looked at all the people that liked Donald Trump, liked Elon Musk and hated the GOP. That's 4% of voters. There's 4% of voters out there who thought Elon Musk was the bee's knees, but the GOP was just a big bucket of poop. And because of that, he's calculated 4% is all the voting base out of all the voters that Elon Musk would even muster to bring over to his brand new party. Because again, President Donald Trump, he expanded the Republican Party because people liked him. They liked what he said. They liked what he stood for. They liked his ideas. They liked his agenda. They liked what he was promising. That's why the Republican Party grew and grew and grew. That's why it continues to grow in places like here in Florida, where a purple state, a once purple state, is now a dominantly red state, a decisively red state. In Pennsylvania, Scott Presler is bringing that to the brink of being a red state. In New Jersey, we could have a Republican mayor the first time since, well, Chris Christie, who some people think was two Republican governor. Some people think was two Republican governors because, you know, he's big. But anyway, that's where we stand. That's where we stand with Elon Musk and a third party bid. Even if he's not running for himself, even if he's supporting third party candidates, it doesn't make sense because he just doesn't have the clout.
So how does Elon Musk compare to Ross Perot?
Yeah, we'll go all the way back in the time machine to 1992. And we will note Americans with an unfavorable view, i.e. essentially that Musk starts off with far more against him than Ross Perot ever did. Americans with an unfavorable view of Ross Perot was only 14% back in 1992. Now, the vast majority of Americans are already against Elon Musk, 58%. So what we're essentially saying here is that Elon Musk is going to go into an electorate that already dislikes him, is already against him, while there were far more people who are open to the idea of a Ross Perot third party or independent candidacy as compared to an Elon Musk third party in which the vast majority of Americans have already sided against the man from Tesla.
So Elon Musk says he's going to play, forget, the presidential election is years away. The congressional election next year, he says he wants to play there. What's the history of third-party candidates in congressional races?
Horrible, awful, terrible, terrible, terrible. What are we talking about here? All right, elected to Congress from a third party since 1970, just 0.2% of all winners were either third party, independent, or write-in. We're only talking about 24 out of over 13,000 winners. The bottom line is third party, independents, they just don't succeed. Donald Trump is right when he's talking about the fact that third parties, simply put, don't work.
I will leave with this one coda, though. When you're talking about 4% here, it may not be about winning the race, but 4% has been enough to sway an election back and forth.
Ralph Nader in 2000, as we were talking about, he could spoil it for the GOP, but he probably can't win it himself.
Yeah, there you go. So if Elon Musk is looking to back a presidential candidate, he's not going to be able to do it, but he could be a spoiler in something like 2028, although the Democrats are so far behind in the popularity race, then that's going to be very difficult. Now, the one thing that President Donald Trump and the rest of the Republicans need to be wary of is Congress, because the way it breaks down is in 2026, there is no presidential election. What does that mean? Donald Trump will continue to be the president and the Republicans will continue to hold the White House. It's very important, very exciting. The Senate, pretty solid. We have 53 Republican senators, and we've got a lot of seats that are opening up that we feel we can either A, maintain, or B, grab. For example, North Carolina, we believe that if it's Laura Trump, who's the current front runner, or somebody else, that seat is secure. In Pennsylvania, there could be a pickup. There are other pickups around the, Montana, all over the country. There are places where we could win additional seats in the Senate and give ourselves an even bigger advantage as a party, which is fantastic news. The worry, of course, is always the House of Representatives, because if Elon Musk backs any third-party candidates in any toss-up districts, they could go and probably would go to the Democrats. Any and all votes taken from an incumbent Republican will go to a third party, will aid and abet the Democrats, and that's the only hope that they have. The only place where they can win is in the House of Representatives. For example, in New York, there are 6 seats that are already purple. They're already blue districts. They're already Republicans who vote with the Democrats a lot of the time or push for really moderate policies because, well, in New York, they know that they're going to get totally primaried if they don't. And those are seats, 6 of them, where Elon Musk could go in and do some serious damage. And if we lost any of those seats, well, that pushes us closer to the brink of losing the House of Representatives and having Hakeem, I like to rhyme all my words, Jeffries, be the new Speaker of the House. That would thwart and stall and stymie Donald Trump's entire agenda. And, oh yes, also result in an immediate impeachment as soon as the Congress was sworn in. The other thing that could happen is Elon Musk could go to other races where it's closer, in other states where there are Republicans and Democrats who are, Texas has a few districts that go either way, California. And all he has to do is turn about 3 or 4 seats. And bada bing, bada boom, Donald Trump loses all control of the government for the next 2 years, the final 2 years of his administration. And that would stop everybody in their tracks. So it's very interesting. It's very interesting to see exactly what's going on with Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Will this America Party take off? No. Will some candidates run under the America Party? Absolutely. Will they get money and publicity from Elon Musk? Yes. But at the same time, Elon Musk is not as popular as President Donald Trump. And Elon Musk's lack of loyalty to President Donald Trump is also very troubling to a lot of folks. Hardcore conservatives are not happy with Elon Musk and his disloyalty, because if you think about it, Elon Musk, he bought Twitter because he was a proponent of free speech. And when he bought Twitter as a proponent of free speech, what happened? All the lunatic lefties and the Democrats fled. They went off to Blue Sky or whatever that thing's called. They started their own platforms and they were like, we don't want anything to do with Elon Musk. We are abandoning and boycotting Twitter. We're not going to be part of X. That's just reprehensible. It's all free speech is bad. And if Elon Musk wants to drop $44 billion to bring back these terrible people on the platform, people like Laura Loomer, who was kicked off of X or Twitter and Elon Musk brought back. Donald Trump kicked off of Twitter and Elon Musk brought him back. There were countless others. Axel, who works with our good friend Benny Johnson, kicked off of X, brought back by Elon Musk. Over and over again, we heard about Donald Trump supporters having this kind of monumental resurgence and that rising from the ashes, just like the Phoenix, because Elon Musk decided that they deserve to have the right on his platform to speak their mind as much as anybody else. Well, now it looks like a lot of those people are speaking out against Elon Musk. Why? Because he supported President Donald Trump. Donald Trump supported him. He supported President Donald Trump, and Donald Trump bought a Tesla. Donald Trump bought a Tesla, brought Teslas to the White House, and did basically a free advertisement for Tesla. And how many MAGA faithful went out there when Elon Musk was getting attacked by leftists, when they were keying his cars and burning his dealerships and lighting Teslas on fire and firebombing the charging stations? It was an all-out left-wing lunatic assault on Tesla. And who came to Elon's defense? Who came rallying around the billionaire? It was the MAGA faithful. It was Donald Trump supporters. It was conservative Americans. It was patriots. People like Lily Tang Williams, who literally went out and bought a new Tesla and bought Tesla stock because she wanted to support Elon Musk and his pro-Trump message. Well, look at what's happening now. Who do you think is going to go out and buy a Tesla now? Not anybody in the MAGA cult and not anybody on the left wing. Elon Musk is slowly turning his back on everybody who ever supported him. It's really weird. And MAGA knows. They understand. Donald Trump supporters, we all know what we've done for each other. And Elon Musk, when this race started, Elon Musk, he supported Ron DeSantis. He came out as pro-Ron. He came out as a Ron DeSantis fan. He put Ron DeSantis on his platform in what was one of the worst, I think you would say, Twitter live streams, or X, I guess it was X Spaces is what it was called. It was a big debacle. It took 45 minutes for the thing to work. Millions of people tried to log on and they couldn't. We heard chattering in the background and weird music, and finally there was an announcement, but it was botched. That was how Ron DeSantis' career launched in presidential politics, and a lot of it was because of Elon Musk and his mismanagement of his platform. Well, when Donald Trump became the clear front runner, when it was clear that Ron DeSantis wasn't going to go anywhere, Ron DeSantis wasn't going any farther than Kamala Harris was, then Elon Musk switched his tune and he became a Donald Trump supporter. And he went to rallies with President Donald Trump, and he wore the dark MAGA hat, and he claimed he was dark MAGA. And all of a sudden he was an installation at Mar-a-Lago. They couldn't get rid of him. He was everywhere Donald Trump was. They were at rocket launches together. They were eating together. They were going to dinners together. The bromance had become huge. And then DOJ was created and Elon Musk was put in charge of it. He quickly went to work. He did as much as he could. When his time was done, or when it was decided his time was done, he left. And instead of being honored and excited for the time that he had, and instead of being honored and excited that he was embraced by President Donald Trump's base, he got upset and he threw a hissy fit and he started to lash out at Donald Trump and say, "Screw you, I'm starting my own party." And that's not something that typically works out really well. James Fishback, who's a CEO in Arizona, he said basically, you know what? Look, it's Elon's money. If he wants to throw it down the tube, just let him. Who cares?
The truth is that when you have a full-time CEO in Elon Musk, who's been an extraordinary CEO, his time and energy needs to go to Tesla and synergistic companies like XAI or SpaceX. A political party, regardless of how I might feel or the president might feel about how ridiculous this stunt is, it does not help Tesla in any way, shape, or form. I wrote the Tesla board this weekend asking for one thing: clarity. Sit down with Elon Musk this week and clarify what his full-time obligation to Tesla will be in light of this new political party. If he cannot be Tesla's full-time CEO, the board needs to take that into account and needs to hold him accountable.
All right, there you go.
Has Tesla's board?
There you go. That's James. He's an investor in Tesla. He's a CEO himself, and he's like, look, Elon Musk. This guy's got to realize
when you have a full-time CEO in Elon Musk.
He's got to realize he's got to be a full-time CEO. He started this company. He's in charge of this company. And there are real economic and financial ramifications for millions of people around the world if Tesla stock continues to fall. And there are real ramifications if Elon Musk, who ostracized accidentally, right? I will say this. He accidentally ostracized the left-wing branch of his consumer base. There were a lot of electric vehicle lovers, a lot of tree huggers, a lot of these lunatics on the left side of the aisle who bought Teslas because they really thought that gas-guzzling SUVs were demonic and they were the devil and they were going to destroy the American landscape and the earth, and that oil is bad. And they went out and they said, we're going to buy Teslas because Tesla, they'll save us all. So there was a huge contingent of the Democrat Party and these socialists who bought and supported Elon Musk because he was creating EVs. And they did so, and they built him a huge, beautiful company, a beautiful and profitable global brand, the top electric vehicle sales company in the entire world, and a luxury brand to boot. And of course, he used that money to do other things like buy Twitter and perpetuate his free speech mission and yada, yada, yada. Well, when he embraced President Donald Trump and when he embraced free speech and when he bought X, all of a sudden his entire customer base turned on him because they weren't going to use their hard-earned money to buy Teslas, knowing that that money was going to Donald Trump's campaign, because the only thing they hated more than climate change was Donald Trump. The only thing they hated more than their gas-guzzling SUVs was Donald Trump. And if their money to buy their Teslas was going to go to Donald Trump's campaign via Elon Musk, then they weren't going to buy Teslas anymore. Not only were they not going to buy them, they were going to key them and firebomb them and light them on fire and destroy the dealerships and harass people who drove them, all that kind of stuff. But the fact of the matter was he lost his customers. Enter the right. enter MAGA, who said, we support you because you support President Donald Trump. We'll support you and we'll buy your cars and we'll buy your cyber trucks and we'll buy your stock because you supported us. You gave us a free speech platform and you helped President Donald Trump get back to the Oval Office. And now that's all gone up in smoke too, because he's turned on Donald Trump. He's turned on MAGA. He's turned on the base. He's turned on everybody who supported him when the Democrats wouldn't. And who's left? The 4% of independents? They're not going to go out and buy Teslas. And even if they do, what is that, like 8 Teslas? Let's face it, they probably already have them. It's devastating to his company to continue to not just be political. It's not about political activism, right? It's like Chick-fil-A is a Christian organization. And we know that because they're closed on Sundays. And we know that because every Sunday I get a craving for Chick-fil-A and I pull in a drive-thru. I go, son of a gun, it's Sunday. And then I forget I'm like, I love Sunday. It's the Lord's Day. But again, I really wanted that Chick-fil-A sandwich. Chick-fil-A, they're a Christian organization and they're doing just fine. Why? Because they didn't all of a sudden say, you know what? We're not a Christian organization anymore. Now we're going to be a satanic organization. And we're going to be open on Sundays. They didn't do that. No one would be buying chicken sandwiches any day of the week. But Elon Musk is doing exactly that. He can't decide on one side. If he picked a side, if he stuck with that side, if he realized that side wasn't perfect and you're not going to get everything that you want, I'm not getting everything I want. I voted for Donald Trump every time I possibly could. I voted for him 6 times. I voted for him in the Florida primary in 2016. I voted for him in the general election in 2016. I voted for him again in 2020, and I voted again for him in 2024. That's a lot. If Donald Trump was on the ballot, I've never, ever voted for anybody else. Did I get everything I wanted? No. Do I have everything that I thought I was going to get? No. I thought I was going to get that Epstein client list, but I didn't. Am I taking my MAGA hats and throwing them in the shredder? No. Because I'm getting a lot of other great stuff. You can't always get what you want, as the Rolling Stones so eloquently put it. Elon Musk, being a billionaire, outsider, outlier, genius, isn't used to not getting what he wants. And that may be what's causing this whole, but the other really interesting thing about this too, and I promise I'll get something else in just a minute, is that Elon Musk thinks he can do what Donald Trump did, but what Elon Musk is doing is not what Donald Trump did. Elon Musk doesn't like Donald Trump anymore. He doesn't like the party. He doesn't like the one big, beautiful bill. So he is going off and starting his own third party. That's not what Donald Trump did, because Donald Trump wasn't stupid. Donald Trump knew what Harry Enten said. Donald Trump, before this report was even a report, Donald Trump knew that third parties are bad.
Yeah, this entire thing makes very little sense to me. It makes about as much sense as selling sand in the desert.
Look, it makes as much sense. A third party makes about as much sense as selling sand in the desert. Donald Trump knew that. So instead of starting a third party, he took over one of the 2 existing parties. Instead of saying, I'm going to start my own party and we're going to grow, we're going to be big, we're going to be super powerful, and we're going to beat all of the established parties that have been around for over 100 years, he said, you know what? I'm not going to win that way. What I need to do is become a Republican and take over the party. And that's what he did. He brought in his own people. He brought in his own messaging. He got rid of the people that did not agree with him. He got rid of the people that were not on his side. He got rid of the people that were standing in the way of making America great again. The elites, the swamp creatures, all those people. He booted them out. He paid a hefty cost for it, but he did it. And what he was left with was a party of his own design. And over the last 4 years, he's grown that party even more. And over the last election cycle, he brought in hundreds of thousands, probably millions of new voters to the Republican Party, making it the dominant political party in the United States of America, making it even harder for anybody, including the world's richest man, to mount some kind of political campaign against it. He went to an existing established party, took it over, and made it stronger. That's how you do it. That's how you win. I'm running for Congress. As you know, everybody knows I'm running for Congress because, well, I've been wearing this hat. Oh, by the way, I have big news about the hats. And when I ran for Congress, I said, I'm running as a Republican. What does that mean? It means I'm going to have to primary a fellow Republican. Why? Well, because he's not really acting he's acting more like a Democrat than a Republican. So we probably need somebody in there who's going to act like a Republican. I'm running for Congress and I'm running against another Republican. I'm not an independent. I didn't start my own third party. I didn't call it the Mark Kaye Party or the Patriot Party or the America Party or anything. I said, look, I'm a Republican. I want to represent the Republican Party, and I want the Republican to help me represent the people of Florida's 5th District in the Congress. I'm not looking to start my own party. I'm looking to make sure that the people in my party are actually following the tenets and the morals, the moral fiber of the party that they claim to be a part of. The current guy isn't doing that. I am HO. I believe that I will, and that's why I'm running for Congress. That's why Donald Trump ran as a Republican, and that's why Elon Musk's America Party will fail miserably, and he will end up losing a lot of money. By the way, these hats. So I got a whole bunch of hats in. Everyone wanted these hats. I started ordering. Remember, I had like a handful of them that I was autographing. Well, now I just got a shipment of 50 hats. The Mark Kaye for, let me get one that's not signed. Here we go. I got a whole bunch. This is the official Mark Kaye for Congress hat. And if you would like one, because everyone was like, I want a hat, I want a hat, I want a hat, I want a hat. And I was like, all right, I'm going to do my best. Let me go find some hats. And we got some hats. And so what we're doing is we are going to give these hats away to anybody who donates $50 or more. $50 or more. Here's where you go. There's a link in the description of this video. And if you go to the link in the description of this video and you click the link, you can go and you can donate $50 minimum donation. Please pay the fees because that also helps. And if you donate at least $50 and pay the fees on your donation, we'll send you the hat. We'll put it in the mail. We'll pay the shipping's on me. You'll get the hat, and you can. And this is a great hat too. It's got the red, white, and blue on the back. Look at that. It's got the American flag print on. It's a mesh trucker cap, but it's a really high quality one. This is a fabric. It's not plastic or polyester or whatever it is. It's a nice fabric. It's got a nice form to it. The stitching, look at the beautiful Digistitch. Our good friend at Digistitch did that. And that is just beautiful stitching on there. And it's solid and it looks good. I got so many compliments on this hat. I wore it all through my vacation. And if you want one, a $50 donation, we'll send it out to you. All you have to do is go to the link in this description. You have to go to the link in this description. That's how we know you want the hat. And we'll send it out. Now, if you make a donation of $500 or more, then we will sign it. By we, I mean I. Then I'll take a Sharpie and I'll sign it and I'll put it in the box and I'll throw it. We got stickers too. You know what? We'll throw stickers in with all the hats, but you'll also get the autographed hat for a $500 or more donation. Again, please pay those fees so that we can get everything. And this is for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's because you want the fly hat. I get it. Who wouldn't want a Mark Kaye for Congress hat? They look really good. Second of all, you want to help our campaign. Why? Well, because we are fighting to put combative conservatives back in Congress. We are fighting to make sure that every Republican holds to the ideals of republicanism, that every conservative is actually conservative, that every person we're sending there with a big R next to their name isn't going to vote like a big D. And that's what we have here in Florida's 5th District. That's what I'm trying to stop. And I do need your help. So make your donation, $50 or more, pay the fees. We'll get the hat out to you ASAP. I have 50 hats right now. And they're going to go because ever since I started donning my own Mark Kaye for Congress hat, everybody's been clamoring for them. Everyone's like, I want one, I want one, I want one. Now you can have one by donating to the campaign, by helping us fight to make America great again, starting with Florida's 5th District. And you don't have to live in Florida. That's the other thing too. If you live in Florida's 5th District, I need your vote. I could also use your money, but I need your vote. If you don't live in Florida's 5th District, but you want to help the campaign, this is the best way to do it. Make a donation, $50, $100, $200. That'll get you the free hat. If you've got $500, you'll get the signed hat, of which there are a very limited number. But all that money goes right to fighting the establishment, fighting the rhinos, making sure that no matter what happens, because if Elon Musk is successful and he's able to install some of his candidates in Congress, if he's successful and he's able to steal the House of Representatives and hand it to the Democrats, well, then you're really going to need fighters. You're going to need vocal people who don't shut up, who don't sell out, who don't play by the rules, who are going to get in the face of the Democrats, who are going to fight against all of their ridiculousness, who are going to fight against their destruction of America, who are going to fight against their impeachment of President Donald Trump. You need basically unforgiving, loudmouth, fearless individuals who don't care about making a spectacle of themselves or doing anything that it takes to save the United States of America. That's not the guy who currently sits in the seat of Congress in Florida's 5th District. That is the guy that you listen to on this podcast every single day. So again, please click the link in the description of the video. If you're listening to the podcast, by the way, you know what? It's too long. I'll put it somewhere. I'll put it on my X page so you can go and you can get yourself a hat. But any and all donations. And if you don't look, and if you're like, all I got's $10, we'll take it, man. I'm going to Bernie Sanders this B word all the way to the end. If it's $1, $5, $15, we've gotten donations of every size and shape. And we need all of them because, like I said, we're fighting against an establishment, even though he's not really that good of a representative. There's a couple of other things I want to share with you, by the way. This whole thing in Texas over the weekend was just horrible. I'm sure by now you've seen this whole thing in Texas with the floodwaters rising and the girls at the camp getting washed away, and over 100 people, I think, now dead and or missing, more that we're going to find out are dead or missing, I'm sure. And President Donald Trump was asked about it. He said, this is just, it was just awful. He's been in touch with Governor Abbott.
Thank you very much. We've been in touch with Governor Abbott and very close to Governor Abbott and everybody in Texas. Kristi Noem has, as you know, been there and will continue to be there. And we're working very close with representatives from Texas, and it's a horrible thing that took place. Absolutely horrible. So we say God bless all of the people that have gone through so much, and God bless the state of Texas. It's an incredible place.
Yeah, it's really heartbreaking when we started seeing the images and the visions and the camp and there were TikTok videos being passed around of these cabins where these little girls were staying, just floating down the river. Some of them already found deceased, others found miraculously alive 20 miles down the river. It was just heartbreaking. And Ted Cruz has been out talking about it. All the representatives, Chip Roy was out there giving statements. Really just awful what's happening. And Donald Trump is planning a visit, but he's giving it enough time for the search and rescue to effectively continue.
Planning to visit Texas, Mr. President. Probably on Friday. We wanted to leave a little time. I would have done it today, but we'd just be in their way. Probably Friday.
Yeah. So Friday, President Donald Trump's going to take a trip down to Texas. Now, there's been this weird, again, whenever there's a tragedy, the first thing Donald Trump and the conservatives do is they jump into action and say, who needs help and how can we help them? The first thing Donald Trump does is he gets on the phone with Greg Abbott and says, what do you need? How much money? How many resources? How many men? What can I get you? You need helicopters? We'll send helicopters. You need National Guards troops? We'll send National Guards troops. You need money for FEMA? We'll do it. We'll send whatever you need. You've got it. You don't have to worry about it. That's what Donald Trump does. That's what the Republicans do. The Democrats, the first thing that they do is they try to figure out a way to blame President Donald Trump. And whatever they can do, however they can figure it out, they're going to try to figure out a way to blame President Donald Trump. And there was a very bizarre video that I think I saw Gunther Eagleman posted for the first time of Rosie O'Donnell, who no longer lives in the United States of America. And she was blaming President Donald Trump for the floods in Texas.
And what a horror story in Texas. The flash floods in Texas, the Guadalupe River. 51 missing, 51 dead, more missing. Children at a camp. And you know, when the president guts all of the early warning systems and the weathering forecast abilities of the government, these are the results that we're going to start to see on a daily basis, because he's put this country in so much danger by his horrible, horrible decisions and this ridiculously immoral bill that he just signed into law. As Republicans cheered, people will die as a result, and they've started already. Shame on him. Shame on every GOP sycophant who's listening and following the disastrous decisions of this mentally incapacitated POTUS.
By the way, it's sycophant, not sycophant. I don't know what a sycophant is, but a sycophant is the word she's looking for. But also, she's dead wrong because, first of all, she's an idiot. Second of all, she's dead wrong. Donald Trump did not cut the emergency alerts. These people are not gone because of anything Donald Trump and DOJ did. In fact, Ginger Z on GMA, which is on ABC, which is a network that hates President Donald Trump almost as much as Rosie O'Donnell does. They shared, I found it on TikTok is the only place I could find it. But listen to Ginger Z talk about the alerts, because what the left and what these lunatics like Rosie O'Donnell are saying is they're saying Donald Trump gutted the National Weather Service. Donald Trump gutted the emergency alert system. Donald Trump gutted all of these things. And as a result, guess what? There were no alerts going out and the people of Texas had no warning. And Donald Trump murdered these young people, murdered everyone who's dead in Texas. It's Donald Trump's fault because of the one big beautiful bill and because he doged the weather service and the emergency alert service. Listen to Ginger Z as she describes. She actually shows some of the alerts. And again, I thought this was interesting because it's GMA and ABC hates Donald Trump.
And Matt Gutman, in his report, he was telling us there are questions on the ground right now about these warnings and when they went out. What do we know?
Yeah, we know from the AP, they said the National Weather Service offices there were more than staffed. They were staffed extra, actually, which is normal. The National Weather Service confirming to us that that's called surge staffing ahead of a big event like this. The warnings went out, starting with the flood watch at 1:18 p.m. the day before. So that's the day before into the evening of. The WPC puts out this saying 3-inch per hour rainfall rates. They're saying this is going to be bad. Again, 6 p.m. the night before. By midnight, that heavy rain begins. And then at 1:14 a.m., the first flash flood warning goes out. That's the type that goes out on the NOAA weather radio. That's the type that would fly onto your phone. And it had a considerable tag, meaning this is bigger than your run-of-the-mill flood warning. Then the river starts rising, and by 3:35 a.m., that wording is upped. It says, move to higher ground now, act quickly to protect your life. I have to say, just to button here, that having a NOAA weather radio would be very important for everybody, because I think a lot of people are scared, thinking, what's going to happen if I go out camping? Giving yourself just a couple extra minutes. Nothing was perfect here, but guys, there's certainly something that can help, and having
a NOAA weather radio is apparently Ginger Z's. But look at this. She's like, look, they were overstaffed. They had surge staffing. Everything that Rosie O'Donnell and the lunatics on the left and the liars in the Democrat Party and on their news are telling you about Donald Trump gutting the National Weather Service, everything they're lying to you and telling you about Donald Trump shutting down the emergency alert system or making it inoperable because of his cuts, the one big beautiful bill, the DOJ, cutting the waste, fraud, and abuse. None of that. Donald Trump had no effect on the dangerous and deadly flooding in Texas that claimed so many lives. Donald Trump did not cause the floodwaters to rage. He did not cause the Guadalupe River to exceed its boundaries and cause flash flooding that was deadlier than any we've seen in a very long time. And as far as those alerts, Ginger Z said to you, there were alerts. I got an alert hours before this thing. Hey, guys, this could potentially happen. Please be warned. When the rain started, they said, hey, guys, we've already seen 3 inches. This is now a concern. Please watch out. And then at 1 o'clock in the morning, it was move to higher ground. Exit the premises. Get out now. 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, alert after alert after alert. She said nothing's ever perfect, but they were fully staffed. They were ready to go, and the alerts were sent out. And nothing Donald Trump did to the federal government or the National Weather Service or the Emergency Alert Service or anything else or any government agency affected the readiness of these floods. These floods were monumental. They were shocking, they were devastating, and they were caused by nature, not by President Donald Trump, despite what weather expert Rosie O'Donnell seems to know from all the way over in Ireland. Speaking of sycophants, so bizarre. And it's amazing to me how they try to blame everything on Donald Trump. Donald Trump do you remember when Donald Trump suggested supposedly shooting a nuclear weapon into a hurricane to try to get it to dissipate and not be as destructive, and they made fun of him? Back then they were like, you can't control the weather. Donald Trump said it. Donald Trump wanted to shoot. That was a huge story. In fact, let me see if I can find it here real quick. Donald Trump suggested, because Donald Trump is a problem solver and he likes, Donald Trump nuclear bomb hurricane. Let me Google this quickly because I want to make sure I get you the story. Here we go. This is nuclear weapons and hurricanes don't mix. This is a NOAA advisory. This is from the BBC. This will be a good one. Here we go. Continue. Let's see. The Axios News website said, using nuclear weapons to destroy hurricanes is not a good idea. A U.S. scientific agency has said, following reports that President Donald Trump wanted to explore the option. The Axios News website said Mr. Trump has asked several national security officials about the possibility. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration said the results would be devastating. Mr. Trump has denied making the suggestion. Hurricanes typically affect the U.S. East Coast, often causing serious damage. It's not the first time the idea has been considered. Look at that. It's not the first time the idea has been considered. What effect would nuking a hurricane have? Mr. Trump asked why the U.S. couldn't drop a bomb into the eye of the storm to stop it from making landfall. NOAA said that using nuclear weapons on a hurricane might not even alter the storm, and the radioactive fallout would fairly quickly move with the trade winds to affected land areas. The difficulty with using explosives to change hurricanes, it says, is the amount of energy needed. The heat release of a hurricane is equivalent to a 10 megaton nuclear bomb exploding every 20 minutes. Even though the mechanical energy of a bomb is closer to that of the storm, the task of focusing even half of the energy on a spot in the middle of a remote ocean would be formidable. They're basically telling Donald Trump, you dope, you can't control the weather. And now they're telling everybody, oh my God, Donald Trump controlled the weather. He caused those floods. If he hadn't cut all those emergency services, which evidently he didn't cut, this flood never would have happened, and it wouldn't be nearly as deadly as it was. Donald Trump is the worst person in the entire world, and he hates everybody. He's an evil, evil, evil person. Speaking of evil people, somebody shot at an ICE agent. I have here the Tom Homan. There was a Texas, I think it was in Texas, an ICE agent got shot at.
Who were these suspects who were fired, who actually fired the shots and were later arrested? Who were they, Tom?
Look, they're your typical protesters that go from protesters to criminals. The attack on ICE officers, you've covered it many times, is up nearly 700% now. We were talking 500% a couple weeks ago, so it continues. The rhetoric against the men and women of ICE is skyrocketing, especially by members of Congress. We have senators, we have Congress people that compare ICE to the Nazis, compare ICE to racists, and it just continues. So the public thinks, well, if a member of Congress can attack ICE, why can't we? So the rhetoric has to stop, or it's a matter of time for someone to, one of the ICE officers goes down or a criminal goes down. But we already see an officer go down.
To be clear, so these were American citizens? These weren't illegals who opened fire?
No. As far as the investigation, I want to get ahead of the local investigation on this, but they appear to be agitators, people that are protesting ICE operations, damaging ICE property, want to attack ICE officers.
So agitators in Texas who want to damage ICE apparently are now shooting at border agents. Active shooter killed in an attempt to ambush border agents, or patrol agents in Texas. By the way, this was this morning. This was a different one. One McAllen police officer wounded but in stable condition following apparent planned ambush at Rio Grande Valley facility. An active shooter armed with tactical gear and a rifle opened fire upon Border Patrol agents as they arrived at a Border Patrol annex facility in McAllen, Texas. Agents and local police returned fire and killed the gunman. No federal agents were hit, but one McAllen police officer was struck. Law enforcement sources say the officer is in stable condition. This morning, an individual opened fire at the entrance of the United States Border Patrol sector annex in McAllen, Texas. Both Border Patrol agents and local police helped neutralize the shooter. The Department of Homeland Security said in a statement to Fox News, "This is an ongoing investigation led by the FBI. More information will be shared as it becomes available." Okay, this may be actually the... No, here it is. The incident comes just days after another Texas police officer was shot Friday night during U.S. ICE Prairie Land Detention Facility. So you've got two different shooters, two different facilities, one shooting at ICE, one shooting at Border Patrol agents. And Tom Homan's like, look, we're not gonna stand for this. We're not going to.
Who were these suspects who were fired?
Hang on, let me get back
who
to
actually fired the shots?
This is not what we do here. This is not going to slow us down. But the problem is that these people, these agitators, as he calls them, these gunmen, these people who are opening fire on ICE agents and Border Patrol agents and law enforcement agents who are paid for and by the United States of America to protect the United States of America. These people are agitators, and they're being prodded into doing these things by the Democrat Party. Axios released this story 9 hours ago. Democrats told to get shot for the anti-Trump resistance. At town halls in their districts and in one-on-one meetings with constituents and activists, Democrat members of Congress are facing a growing thrum of demands to break the rules, fight dirty, and not be afraid to get hurt. This idea that we're going to save every norm and that we're not going to play Republicans' game, I don't think that's resonating with voters anymore, said one House Democrat. Another told Axios that a sense of fear and despair and anger among voters puts us in a different position where we can't keep following norms of decorum. Axios spoke to more than 24 House Democrats for this story, with many requesting anonymity to offer candid insights about their interactions with constituents and activists. We've got people who are desperately wanting us to do something. No matter what we say, they want more, said Rep. Brad Schneider, the chair of the center-left New Democrat Coalition. Liberal voters have angrily accosted Democrats at town halls for, in their view, not doing enough to counter President Trump's agenda. In response, some Democrats have tried to up the ante, heckling Trump, mounting rogue impeachment attempts, and getting tackled by law enforcement and even indicted. What we're hearing, the grassroots wants more. Some of them have suggested what we really need to do is be willing to get shot when visiting ICE facilities or federal agencies. A third House Democrat told Axios. Here are the quotes. Listen to this. Our own base is telling us what we're doing is not good enough, that there needs to be blood to grab the attention of the press and the public, the lawmaker said. A fourth House Democrat said constituents have told them civility isn't working and to prepare for violence, to fight to protect our democracy. It's a republic, but that's neither here nor there. A fifth House Democrat told Axios that people online have sent me crazy S blankety blank, told me to storm the White House and stuff like that, though they added that there's always people on the internet saying crazy stuff. A sixth House Democrat said that when they try to persuade voters to channel their frustration into a focus on winning back Congress, people who are angry don't accept that. They're angry beyond all things. They don't accept winning back Congress to get what they want out of the government. They want blood. They want their representatives to take bullets, to try to get shot, to storm the White House. It's like the Roman Colosseum. People just want more and more of this spectacle, said a seventh lawmaker. Here are the actual representatives who've said stuff. Representative Ro Khanna from California said he believes the most effective pushback to Trump's unconstitutional actions is to model a reverence for the Constitution and the rule of law. That's nice. What I've seen is a demand that we get ourselves arrested intentionally or allow ourselves to be victims of violence. And a lot of times that's coming from economically very secure white people. Not only would that be a gift to Donald Trump, not only would it make the job of Republicans in Congress easier if we were all mired in legal troubles, we are a group that is disproportionately people of color, women, LGBTQ people who do not fare very well in prison. The expectations aren't just unreal, they're dangerous, the 8th House Democrat said. A 9th lawmaker told Axios, I actually said in a meeting, when they light a fire, my thought is to grab an extinguisher. And someone at the table said, have you tried gasoline? Democrats are not getting the message. They're not calming down. They're not coming up with any kind of agenda or idea or platform that's going to get them elected. They're not going to be able to win back based on their morals and their ideals. They're not going to be able to win back the House or the White House or any of those other offices by doing what they're doing, which is siding with illegal criminal gang members. So they're just going to become criminals themselves. And Tom Homan is like, look, we're not going to stand for any of that. And when it comes to sanctuary cities, like, what's his name? Zohran Mamdani. Zohran Mamdani, who is the fan favorite, I guess you would say at the moment, to win in New York City, is a socialist. He's a radical socialist. He wants to defund the police. He's called for violence against law enforcement. He also would be running a sanctuary city, and he's claimed already that if he wins, he will not be working with Tom Homan and ICE to deport anybody. He will not be ignoring sanctuary city status, which is illegal thanks to a Donald Trump executive order. And Tom Homan said, look, I don't care what he says. The law is the law, and we're doubling down.
Zohran Mamdani, the likely next mayor of New York City's promised not to cooperate with you or with ICE or with deportations of any kind. Do you have a plan? Is there a plan to work around that? How are you going to handle it?
Feel like I'm at, we're going to be in New York City, and President Trump said it 2 weeks ago. We're going to double down and triple down in sanctuary cities. Why? Not because they're a blue city or blue state, because we know that's where the problem is. We know they're releasing public safety threats and national security threats to the streets every day because they don't honor our detainers. We know that. We don't have that problem like in Florida, where every sheriff in the state's working with us. So where we're going to send our assets, we're going to send them where the problem is. Sanctuary cities. So I've said it before, we'll flood the zone of sanctuary cities.
We will flood the zone of sanctuary cities. Sanctuary cities, that's where we don't have a problem in Florida. There's not going to be ICE agents in Florida. They're not taking the one big beautiful bill and hiring new ICE agents to send to the Sunshine State, the free state of Florida. They got Ron DeSantis here. Ron DeSantis and every sheriff in every county and every jurisdiction in the state of Florida is working diligently to get rid of illegal immigrants, to aid ICE in their efforts to enforce the law. There are no sanctuary cities. There's no sanctuary status here. It is all run by conservative Republicans, constitutional Republicans who are going to do whatever they can to help President Donald Trump do what the voters in the United States have mandated he do, and that is clear out the illegals. We want the most massive deportation effort in American history. We want that. That's what we're voting for. That's what we demand. That's what we expect. And Donald Trump said, that's what I'm going to give you. And Tom Homan's going to be in charge of it. But other places like Chicago and New York and Boston and Portland, Oregon and Seattle, Washington and all these places in California, all of these sanctuary states, that's where you don't want ICE agents. Well, then you should probably help the ICE agents get these people out of your cities. Otherwise, you're going to be flooded with ICE agents. They're doubling down. They're doubling down on where these people are going. And it's not going to be the red cities. It's not going to be the red states. It's going to be the blue cities and the blue states. That's what's going to happen. So it's really, we got a lot going on here over the next week. We have President Donald Trump meeting with Benjamin Netanyahu right now, I think at the White House, or later today if it's not happening at the moment. We're going to have more fallout, I'm sure. Some questions will be asked because whenever President Donald Trump hosts somebody, I mean, really, whenever Donald Trump is awake, he takes questions from the press. Whenever Donald Trump walks into a room, he takes questions from the press. He's not the kind of person, that hides from the press. So I imagine that if he hasn't already, and again, I haven't really been monitoring. Let's see. Oh, here we go. It looks like Caroline Levitt took some questions. You know what? Let's dip in quickly and hear what Caroline Levitt said, because I'm sure she got some questions. Here we go. I'm sure she got some questions about
Good afternoon,
the
everyone.
Epstein files. Let's see what we
all
got.
Had a great weekend. I want to start by addressing the devastation from the tragic flash floods in Texas. Moments ago, the Department of Homeland Security provided an update that 91 innocent souls have now perished. Everyone here at the White House, including the President of the United States, is praying for the victims' families and friends during this unimaginable time. President Trump swiftly signed a major disaster declaration for Kerr County, Texas, to ensure our heroic first responders have every resource they need in the relief and recovery efforts. Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem traveled to Texas over the weekend, and the entire Trump administration is working hand in glove with state and local officials to provide every assistance available.
And that is something we knew. That is something Donald Trump has already reported on and let us know about. So it is tragic once again, and we're glad that he's on the ground helping. Let's move forward a little bit.
To be focused on. The president will also sign an executive order today delaying the July 9th deadline to August 1st. So the reciprocal tariff rate or these new rates that will be provided in this correspondence to these foreign leaders will be going out the door within the next month, or deals will be made. And those countries continue to negotiate with the United States. We've seen a lot of positive developments in the right direction.
Okay, so she's talking about the reciprocal tariffs being pushed back.
And dignity for trying to enforce our nation's immigration laws and to remove public safety threats from our communities. The White House is aware of the shooting that took place. That's what he and his national security team are working on every day, and we've already seen historic achievements in that direction. Go ahead. In the back. Kelly, go ahead.
Great, thank
sure.
you.
And then in front of you.
Okay. Couple questions for you. First,
Y'all need name tag signs.
First question on the flooding in Texas. I know there has been.
Israel has made
He would say such a thing.
Are trying to isolate the United States.
To govern Area A and Area.
Anyway, we'll go through it. We'll go through it for tomorrow, and we'll get all the gist. We'll get all the big questions that were answered. Because, like I said, I know that there's. I guarantee there was a question about the Epstein files, and I want to see how she handled it. It looks like on X they're posting a lot of the. Well, let's see. I'm going through the flood hit very hard. Here's one about the national weather. Let's play this one quickly because this is exactly what we were talking about with Rosie O'Donnell and the idiocy of the National Weather Service being decimated by President Trump.
Are there concerns within the White House or from the president himself over the cuts that happened under Musk while he was advising DOJ, including the National Weather Service?
I think I've already addressed that, Kristen, and what I can tell you is that these offices were fully staffed. The San Angelo office was fully staffed with 12 forecast meteorologists. There were no vacancies. The San Antonio office was operating with 11 forecasters, and as Brian said, the union themselves said that there was adequate staffing. So I think those words speak for themselves, and the numbers speak for themselves. This was a once-in-a-century flash flood, a tragic natural disaster, and the administration is doing all that we can on the ground to help these families during this time of need.
Yeah. All right. So that's basically what we thought. And it looks like they're talking about tariffs, and they're talking about the Middle East, and they're talking about. Anyway, we'll roll through and we'll see what happens, because I guarantee somebody asked the question. If they haven't already, they will before the end of the press conference. So we'll make sure that we have that answer for you coming up tomorrow on Mark Kaye Saves the Republic. Also tomorrow, this is very exciting. I'm bringing back one of my favorite. This is something we did a couple weeks ago, right before the holiday, and it was so successful. It was so much fun. It was so great that we're doing it again, and it's called Podcast Profits Live. And as many of you know, I am a professional podcaster. I do it now for a living. Used to be a hobby. Now it's my full-time gig. I have not one but two full-time podcasts that bring me multiple streams of income and allow me to create a media company that sustains my entire life. It's a dream job. It's a dream gig. And it is something that is not inaccessible to anybody. What that means is that if you've ever dreamed of having a podcast, not necessarily a political podcast, but a podcast about, I don't know, entertainment or marketing or sewing or birds or dogs or raising chickens in your backyard, a podcast about, funny stories from Vietnam, whatever you have. I don't know if there are any funny stories from Vietnam, but whatever your podcast idea, whatever your business, a podcast is the ultimate marketing tool. And what I've learned by now being a professional podcaster as long as I have been, and by creating multiple successful and profitable podcasts, is there's a right way to create and monetize a podcast and a wrong way. And what I teach in Podcast Profits Live is the right way, and I do it in about an hour. You can, in an hour, by the end of this presentation, have a professional podcast that earns you multiple streams of income, and it's absolutely free to join. We had hundreds of people come to the first one. We've already got 100 or so people signed up for the second one. This one's even better, too, because we're going to go through all the stuff on this page, but I've learned a lot since last time. We got some questions, some great questions. I gave some pretty great answers, if I do say so myself. And what I decided to do was incorporate all of that into the second presentation. So all you have to do is go to the page. It's podcastprofitspro.com. Podcastprofitspro.com. There's a link in the description of this video as well if you want to go check it out. And when you go to Podcast Profits Pro, you're going to click on Save My Free Spot. You're going to fill out this information sheet, and then we're going to send you the link for the Zoom. It's all on Zoom. It's not like in person. You don't have to worry about getting to Jacksonville or anything like that. We basically are doing it virtually. Podcastprofitspro.com. It's tomorrow night at 8 p.m. It's an hour long, and it's really incredible. It's incredibly formative. I'm incredibly excited about it. And if you've ever been interested in doing your own podcast, then it's something that I definitely recommend you attend. Even if you don't end up doing your own podcast, you're going to learn so much about marketing on the internet, whether you want to do YouTube or Instagram or anything else like that. Podcasting is the basis for all social media marketing. A lot of people don't realize that. Podcastprofitspro.com is where you need to go, or click the link in the description of the video. Listen, speaking of podcasts, don't forget to subscribe to this one. If you're listening on iTunes or Google or Spotify, wherever you are, tell them, I want this podcast every single day. I want this information. I want this enlightenment. I want this entertainment every single day, because it keeps me going. It gives me the truth. It gives me a reason to fight. It gives me the tools I need to fight, and everything else I need. And it reminds me that I'm not the only one, that there's hundreds of thousands of other Catriots out there, liberty-loving, freedom-defending Catriots, all of whom love this country, desire the best for this country, want the Founding Fathers' vision of this constitutional republic to remain, not just this year, but forever, and realize that every single day we are threatened. We are threatened by Democrats. We are threatened by foreigners. We are threatened by Republicans. We're threatened by the deep state. We're threatened by bad decisions. We're threatened by Elon Musk now. There's always a threat to the future of the United States. So subscribe to this channel. Subscribe to this podcast. Subscribe so that you will never miss a moment, so that you will continue to get the truth, so that you will learn who your enemies are and how you can defeat them, so that together, once and for all, we can all fight, and save the Republic. Listen, we are going to do an after party, and it's going to be at Catriots.com. So if you'd like to join us for probably another 30 minutes or so of witty banter and exceptional behind-the-scenes interesting stuff about this show. If you're like, that was way too short, I need more, guess what? You can get more if you're a member of the Catriot Club, and you can become a member of the Catriot Club at Catriots.com. Go there right now. We're going to kick off the after party in about 3 minutes.